guys, it's Cloudy. How are you all? Today we're going to be talking about my experience transitioning from a school setting to a Korean company setting. When I first came to Korea, like a lot of teachers, I was on the E2 visa. The E-series visa is very job and sector specific. E2 denotes a visa that is only for teaching. You cannot get any other jobs, and the E2 visa is strictly sponsored by your company or your school. I was trying to make the jump from an E-series visa to an F-series visa, specifically the F2-7 visa. The F2-7 visa is a very common visa that foreigners try to get because you can acquire it through points, where you're essentially sponsoring yourself through your own skills. Points are accumulated by your age, your academic background, your work experience, your current salary, and volunteer experiences, Korean experience. There are a lot of different things that factor into the F2-7 form when you're applying. The reason why people like to get the F2-7 is because not only can you teach on it, you can actually take any other Korean job and compete for regular jobs as well. The F2-7 basically shows that you are competent enough to work in any field in Korean working society as long as you're able to ace the interview and get hired. For me, I took a KIP course. The KIIP course is a very typical course that helps foreigners integrate culturally and learn more of the language in order to accumulate points for this visa. A lot of people who are on the marriage visa also take this course to get ready to possibly immigrate or become a full-fledged Korean citizen. When you finish the course, you get basically enough points to make the cut for the F2-7 visa. Like applying for all visas, you need to grab all of your different documents and have everything verified by a lawyer, apostilled, verified by your embassy or consulate. And the most difficult document for me to get was the criminal background check. Before I went to Korea, while I was applying for the E2 visa, I got a criminal background check from my home country. And for some reason, even though I've been in Korea for like 3-4 years at the time, long-term working and living there, they still want a criminal background check from my home country, even though I haven't been in my home country for at least 4 years. I thought that was like crazy ridiculous, because if I was gonna commit a crime, theoretically, I would have committed it already in Korea if I'm working there and living there. I didn't even have any time to take a really long break to fly back to my home country. So the fact that I had to get a criminal background check was really difficult. What I did was I got the fingerprints done at a Korean police station. I mailed them off to an agency that does these documents in Canada. I had it mailed to my parents. My parents brought it to a lawyer and also to the Korean consulate to get it verified and stamped for approval. And then they mailed it to me through like first class document mail. And it was so stressful because I had a job waiting for me and my visa documents would not go through without this criminal background check. So that was really anxiety inducing for me. So for anyone who's looking to apply for this F2-7 visa, you have to wait at least 6 months or plan out at least 8 months to 10 months for you to transition jobs. It does take a really long time. In the past, when you got the F2-7 visa, you used to be able to get it for up to like 3 years. There are very special circumstances, like for master's students or PhD students who graduate from Korean universities, you can get a letter that will help you acquire a 3-year or 5-year visa. But for regular people who are just kind of cold applying through the immigration center, most of the time you will get 1 year. Even for other people on the F-series visa, like people who are Kyopo, Korean American, they have their own visa, as well as people who are married to Koreans and are on the marriage visa, their visas only last a year right now, and they have to go on a yearly basis to renew their visas as well. So immigration has gotten a lot more stricter with their renewal processes and the frequency of renewal as well. After I left my teaching job, I worked at a small to medium publishing company that was creating textbooks for English learners. So these textbooks would go into regular stores for parents to buy for their kids, and we would also take commissions from hagwons or cram schools in order to make books that would fit their curriculum. I worked in a team of about 5 to 6 people, and they were all women, so we had a very comfortable working setting. The team was bilingual, so I didn't have any issue working with them on a day-to-day basis. However, there was a bigger Korean company culture that I was expected to fit into. When I first arrived at the company, even though I typically look Asian and I didn't look intimidating to people, people still found me a little bit nervous to be around because I'm the only English speaker. After they found out I could speak Korean, and after we had a company outing where I could interact with people, we did team building activities together, people really started to welcome me into the working community. And I felt like the great thing about Korean working companies is that people are always really willing to take care of you when they know that you're a newbie. Throughout the year, I was able to edit a lot of manuscripts. I got a chance to write some English stories for textbooks. I helped proofread, I helped develop new textbook series, and I was also in charge of communicating with a lot of foreigners that would create contents for our books. So it was a very creative and also engaging process. However, as the year moved on, we were starting to get worked hard more and more to the point where we were overworked, and I was doing at least 2.5 people's workloads, and the company had no intention of hiring extra workers, even though we were taking on more and more projects, and the director had really high hopes for a lot more challenges throughout the year. I also felt like because everyone was overworked, the environment started to become really negative, and even though at the beginning I was very creative and outgoing and very excited to communicate ideas, soon after, the working environment turned into a very closed off, negative, stressed atmosphere. For project basis, a lot of times at least 2 to 3 editors contribute to one project. I would be working really hard on a project, I would make a lot of leeway in the design process, and then my manager would just come in, change everything without even telling me or explaining everything to me. And when I found out later, I was shocked to find out that my 3 hours of work had just been totally redone. And I felt like the communication aspect started to become really passive aggressive, and I felt like it was really unfair that I wasn't really getting a lot of mentorship and guidance, even though it was only my first year there. Another aspect of working in Korean companies is that you really have to slave there for a lot of years if you want to get a promotion. In Western companies, if you're doing well in 1 to 2 years, you can maybe jump up or jump to a position with a higher pay in a different department or a different company in the same field. However, in Korea, unless you have 3 years of experience in any position, people will consider you not experienced enough, and they will consider you basically a newbie, the same as someone who doesn't have that much experience. And if you want to be in a senior position, you have to stay at least 3 years. Even though someone is doing worse than you, you're more motivated, you're more engaging as a worker, you have better ideas, you have better quality of work, they will still get the promotion first because they arrived at the company first and they have more seniority. After the 3 years, if you want to challenge a managerial position, you need to be there at least 3 or 4 years more, and hopefully your manager will back you when it comes to promotions. I felt like even though I was doing 2.5 people's work and I was doing so well and I was making very few mistakes as an editor, I still wasn't given the recognition or opportunities for promotion. So I felt very stunted, and it discouraged me from wanting to really put my heart into everything that I did. And also, after a year of working there, I was feeling really lost because I had been in Korea for almost half a decade at that point, like around 5 years. I didn't really know what my future was. I went through a really toxic relationship and also a really horrible breakup around the end of the year. And my grandma fell ill in Canada. And she's like my closest relative to me because she basically raised me when I was a kid. So I was going through all these like life things that people tend to go through once living long-term in Korea. I would say that most people tend to stay in Korea 2 to 3 years. 3 years is max. Nowadays, when you come back to the job market, it's pretty difficult to like jump back into a job market that's changed so much in 2 to 3 years. And for people who are living long-term in Korea, even if you are on the F2-7 visa, at a certain age bracket, you start to lose points and eligibility for the visa. The government in Korea really is looking for young, energetic workers, and beyond the age of like 40, you lose a lot of points for the independent working visa. So by then, if you haven't gotten the F5 visa, which is permanent residency, a green card, or if you haven't married someone who's Korean, most likely you're gonna lose your eligibility to stay in Korea unless you go back onto a teaching visa that is sponsored by a company, in which case you would have a lot less job choices. As such, when people make the decision to stay longer in Korea, most of the time they do have a Korean partner, or they did a master's or a PhD in a very high demand field in Korea, such as tech or engineering, or they just have some sort of tie to the Korean country. Like for example, if they're Korean American, it's very easy for them to stay long term. For me, finally, I made the ultimate decision to move back to Canada. A huge reason for that was because my grandma was just in really bad shape and I wanted to move back here so I could spend more time with her, take care of her. And another really big reason was because I met my life partner at the time and he is based in the States. So I didn't want to have a long distance relationship that was so long based in North America versus Korea. So now that I'm in Canada, I frequently fly to the States so that we can spend a bit of time together, and it fits my future goals as well because I can create a more permanent life for me in North America. When you move back to your home country, it is always an uphill battle when it comes to reverse culture shock, settling in, and etc. If you guys are planning to move to Korea, I hope you guys found this vlog series and this vlog helpful. If you're planning to stay abroad for more than 2 to 3 years, it is a really big commitment and you sort of have to shift your whole life around it as well. There are a lot of things to consider. There were so many advantages of living in Asia and living in Korea. I loved Korea so much. I literally can't wait to move back to Korea someday if possible, and Korea will always have a special place in my heart as basically my favorite city in the entire world. If you guys like this video, don't forget to subscribe for more, and if you guys have any questions for me, don't forget to leave them in the comments below. I will try my best to answer all of them. And if you guys are interested in K-dramas or other lifestyle contents or hobby contents, I hope you guys will stick around for my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Bye!